At just 12 years old, I witnessed the devastating impact that pollution was having on Iran, my parents' home country. On one of my summer visits, I looked up at the night sky and I was struck to see smog so heavy it completely blanketed the air, obscuring the stars that I wanted to trace out of the night sky. This was right after my first class about climate change in middle school, and I knew, being the bratty 12-year-old that I was, that I wanted to talk to my relatives about this issue. And so I approached them and I started to use buzzwords like global warming and climate change and carbon dioxide, and I was shocked when my relatives greeted me with blank stares. I came to realize that I, at 12 years old, knew more about this existential crisis than those around me, which was particularly terrifying when you consider the fact that in the Middle East, temperatures were rising more than twice the global average. So I decided to dig into this issue of climate education in Iran, and I found that this was actually a systematic problem. And so 5% of Iranian university students had never heard of the greenhouse gas effect. And part of it was because I could find very few resources online available in Farsi, which is Iran's native language. So I decided to work with my mom to translate climate resources into Farsi so that I could teach my relatives how climate change-induced weather disasters were disproportionately impacting Iranians. When I presented my research in Farsi to my relatives, I had never been happier to see fear plastered all over their faces, because I had succeeded in convincing them that climate change was a real and pressing threat. Now, my story is not just anecdotal, because this issue of language accessibility in the climate movement is actually far larger than just climate, because in fact, 75% of the world doesn't speak English, but 80% of scientific literature is only available in English. And when looking specifically at reports like the UN's IPCC report, which is widely regarded as one of the most renowned pieces of climate literature in the world, it's only available in the 6 UN languages. And those are languages that account for less than half of the world's speaking population, which means that the majority of people on our planet are unable to understand the documents and agreements that are being issued by the world's highest international political body. And this lack of easily accessible climate information leads to low public interest around tackling these huge issues when it comes to climate change. My generation is already feeling the impacts of climate change at a rate 3 times higher than our grandparents. And every single person in the world, every single person in this room has the opportunity to contribute to climate action. We need to move people from feeling apathetic about the climate crisis, from thinking that this is a big issue outside of their control, to thinking critically about what is it that you can do as an individual. What can your company do to move the needle forward? We need everyone, from every country, from every room, young and old, to join the fight for climate justice. Issues like language, issues like English, that cannot be the barrier to entry. Thank you.